Well, I want to welcome you to the Morning Cup. I have a brand new computer that is sitting in front of me, beautiful 23-inch HP, but it seems as though I need to figure out StreamYard and mic situation. So, sorry if I'm looking down at you today, but I welcome you to the Morning Cup. This is a Thursday morning show from 9 to 9:30. We're just keeping it nice and short, where we're going to bring you information about biz life, all those things when it comes to small business ownership, being a woman over 40, 50 plus. So today is Thursday, September 20th, and we're talking marketing. Marketing is so darn important to our businesses and, frankly, to our personal brands as well. And you have to think it is a brand new era and has been for quite some time, frankly, when it comes to marketing your companies, your products, your services, because customers can be found absolutely everywhere, 100% of everywhere, it seems. And so today I'm bringing on two marketing experts. We have Marjorie Wallwey with Bliss Group Marketing, and we have Katie Stoddard with Ed to Market. These two ladies are actually making an appearance at Biz LifeCon. So what you're going to hear today from them about marketing and a few tips to amp up your bottom line and or content. You can actually find a lot more with them and many others at Biz LifeCon. So I want to bring on to the stage, our first person is someone who is very near and dear to us at Second Act Women. She's an administrator of our Facebook community page. She actually has helped us with copywriting all throughout the many years, and she is just a fabulous human being. And so welcome to the stage, Marjorie. Hello. How are you today?
I'm great. Barbara, how are you? Can you hear me?
I can hear you perfectly. I got to figure out the HP.
Hot dog. All right. That's great. I'm
Yes.
super excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Can you share before we dive into a few of the questions that we have and some of the points that we want to talk about, like fractional marketing and why companies should have them and common mistakes and things that we make in marketing. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
A little bit about myself. I've been in marketing since 1989. I proudly claim my age. I'm 57 and a half. Yes, exactly. And but I've had my own firm since 2012. Just focusing on helping small and medium-sized business owners connect with their most important audiences.
I love that. And you know what? You do such a phenomenal job. I know you were in corporate at some point, weren't you?
I was in corporate from 89 to 2011. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. That's pretty much my story as well. Corporate until from the 80s, even as an intern, I'm sure you were the same until 2011. So let's talk about fractional marketing. So not only are you a copywriter and you help people with their content and creation and keywords and making sure they have the right messaging, but let's talk about fractional marketing, being a fractional marketing director, and why it's really important for large and small businesses to hire a fractional marketer.
Right. So I think the best way to explain is when you're that business owner and you're doing all the things and you're doing all the marketing things, right? And you don't know where to start. And you said earlier, customers can be found everywhere.
Yeah,
they can. How do you know which ones to go after? How do you know which ones are for you? A fractional marketing director is a great person to bring in when you're in that position and you just can't anymore. Like you cannot do all this.
You can't be canting.
Exactly. So basically I explain it as a full fractional marketing director is somebody who helps business owners get full-time marketing results without having a full-time marketing staff.
I love that.
You can kind of see it as like a bridge, as you're growing your company, right? You may at some point be at a place where you have a full marketing staff, and that's a great thing.
Yeah.
I fit into that in between. Like, how do you get from I'm the business owner doing all the things to now I have a staff? And so I work on retainer I work within your budget. We meet, we set goals, we set priorities. I look at your marketing, I audit your marketing, and every quarter we set goals and we move forward and we execute them.
Okay, goals. Can we just sort of go off script here for a moment? I want to talk about goals and how important those are. Talk to the folks here about why, we hear about goals, we know we should do them, but let's talk about why it's important, especially as a marketer when you want to hit those numbers.
So, goals lead to revenue. Okay.
Goals lead to revenue.
We need to be focused on revenue, right? And with goals, every goal should have a measurement. Every marketing tactic should be measured. You should know what you're aiming for, right? So that you can keep on track. You have to keep looking at those results and tweaking and refining. What do you want to turn down the volume on? What do you want to turn the gas up on?
Yeah.
To get to the revenue numbers, the KPIs, the OKRs, whatever, buzzwords you want to use. How are you going to get to those? There's so many people out there who are, I think, panicked, feeling like they have to do all the things, not knowing where to start.
Yeah.
Kind of throwing spaghetti at the wall. And with the goals, it's very focused, it's very clear. And whether you've met them becomes very clear, and what to do next becomes very clear.
And so as a fractional marketing director, those are sort of the things that you can do when a company decides, this is in my wheelhouse, but I need to grow my sales. I need to grow my revenue, which a lot of times people forget. Those are two different things. Mm-hmm. And so it's really important to hire, in a sense, someone like you where that is your wheelhouse.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, yes, I do copywriting and, a lot of the other things that I've done for you.
But you're a great writer. Let me tell you something. Let me tell everyone, you know how to mimic the voice of the person once you get to know them. So, my swagger, that I speak cheeky and that I'm a little wild and cuckoo. And so I shouldn't say cuckoo, but kitsch. And I love how when you have done writing for us, that you know how to pick that up. You know how to pick up that tone and temperament. How is it that you have been able to do that because that's important when you hire someone like you?
Yeah. The short answer is years and years of experience. And then a lot of customer research and a lot of client research to make sure that I'm matching that tone. But yes, hanging out with you, I'm absorbing your personality, Barb. Let's put it that way.
It's a lot of personality to absorb.
You have extra, so I'm taking it on.
I love it. Well, going back to having been and still a fractional marketer, what would surprise you about some people when they do look to hire a fractional marketer? What's surprising first of all, I think it's surprising that a lot of people probably don't recognize that they can hire someone on a contract basis as their marketing director.
I think that's true. I think a lot of people do think of marketing contractors.
Yes.
But in my experience, their vision has been very limited to, I need a copywriter, I need a social media person, right? Yeah. And again, that's a very limited focus. A fractional marketing director is going to come in, analyze all of it, right? And have that kind of 30,000 foot perspective, right? And then I think something, and then I can pull in, certainly there are tasks I can do, copywriting, some of those other things. And then I pull in experts, right? So you as the business owner don't have to go out and find that. And we can do as little as 8 hours a month. We can do 40 hours a month, maybe more. So it grows with your budget, grows with your revenue.
Yeah.
But I think something that would surprise people is when they think about the marketing, is I also look at, of course I have to look at, is the revenue. Right. But for example, I had a client who runs a continuing education course, and I looked at it and I said, we're kind of struggling to fill this course. Why is that? Right.
Yeah.
And it turned out that course gives the people who sign up for it, that gives them an experience they literally cannot have anywhere else. I'm like, we should be marketing the heck out of that.
Yes.
So the course was underpriced. And because it was underpriced, the perceived value was lower. I said,
You
no
know,
wonder you're having trouble pulling people into this course. They don't think it's worth anything.
Yep.
So I did a, complete 180 on the copy, on the way we market it, automated a lot of things. And now we have a waiting list. And for
Wow.
just the cost of my time,
Yeah.
that retainer time, because I'm the one who did the work, revenue's up 30% with no increase other than my retainer time, no increase in cost.
Wow.
I'm like, what business owner wouldn't want to do that all day long?
Exactly. And that's the point, is that sometimes as business owners, and frankly as corporate types, both of us coming from corporate, we undervalue the value of marketing and what we can bring to the table. We think marketing is just the fluff, it's the pretty stuff, it's the graphic design, it's the branding, but all too often the key messaging, the content, the type of content, your customer persona, are you talking to the right people in the right places at the right time? And those are the things that you as an expert can help. And so it's actually worth the investment, because it really is an investment. It's worth the investment. You just brought them more revenue.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And I work really hard to make sure that every single thing I do has a positive ROI.
Yeah, and I love that. See, and that's, again, that's not something we talk about a lot as small business owners. Sometimes we hit the ground running. And even if marketing is in our wheelhouse, we hit the ground running and we forget to take a step back and look at the ROI, look at where our customers are, how can we get them, what is the problem we're solving, how are we solving it, and how are we best at solving it? And that's where people like you come in.
Right. And everything you just said speaks precisely to the value of messaging.
Value of messaging.
You have to know what problem you're solving. You have to know who you're solving it for. You have to speak about it in the terms that your customer talks about it. Because guess what? You're not going to show up in SEO results if you're saying, we enable people to, rise above, blah, 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 blah.
Right, the fluff.
They're like, really, I just want to know how to fix this one problem.
Right.
You know?
So, okay. So I have, before we tap into a tip and then we introduce Katie to the stage, I would love for you to tell us, what are the 3 common mistakes that people make, small business owners make in marketing their businesses?
Sure. Well, I mean, we've talked about a couple of them. Not being clear in your messaging. Okay. If you can't explain what you're doing, the Reddit thing is explain it like I'm 5. If you can't explain it like I'm 5, then your prospects are going to be confused, and the confused mind takes no action. No action means no revenue.
Okay. State that again. A confused mind.
A confused mind takes no action.
A confused mind. That's great. All right.
Yes. So, and that spins out into, how do you design your website? How do you design your landing pages? The sequencing of information, all of that. Second thing is, like we've spoke earlier about, goals, failing to establish goals.
Yes.
You have to have a deliberate strategy. Again, excuse me, not throwing spaghetti at the wall. And then failing to measure the results and the ROI.
Yes.
And a lot of people will measure and say, oh, well, we did this. And I'll come back and say, great, what'd you do with that information? Tweaking it, refining, always, always, always testing.
Yes.
Seeing where you can boost the return.
So those are fantastic tips. I was just about to private message you and say, please send me those in private message. I want to follow up to this video and put that in the content so people understand that that's important and how you explain that. So if you don't mind, pop that into private chat.
Can do.
And then and or into the comments there, because you have access to the comments. All right, before we bring on another marketing expert, if you can be very quick in telling us what, give us a tip on a discovery of a problem and a solution. I freaking love what you're about to share with everyone, and I'm going to use it over the weekend. I'm going to do exactly what you're about to tell everyone. Great. Here is a marketing tip from Marjorie that is excellent.
I would love to take credit. It's actually inspired by Donald Miller. excuse me, he's the story brand guy, how to grow your small business guy. So take a piece of your company's content. It could be your homepage. It could be some offer landing page. It could be a welcome email sequence, whatever. Take that, print it out, and get 3 highlighters. Okay. Green, yellow, and blue. Use the green one to highlight any text that talks about the customer's problem, ideally in the language that the customer uses, right? Use the yellow one to highlight any text that talks about what the customer's life will be like after they buy your product, after they use your service, right? What is that ideal state that they hope to be in? Then take the blue one to highlight any text that talks about your company or your product, the features, not the benefits, or here's who we are. We're this team of whoever. Okay. Yeah. When you look at that thing, when you're done, if that is mostly blue, you got a problem because you're talking all about yourself.
Aha.
You have not brought the customer, as Donald Miller says, you have not brought the customer into the story. You haven't given them a reason to care. You haven't given them a reason to believe that you understand their problem and can solve their problem.
Woo, I feel like I need to take my mic and drop it because those are really, it's funny when I read that, I need to get this book and put it as part of my book club because I just that point that he made alone was told me that book is going to be really great for marketers. So I want to thank you. And I'm so excited to have you at BizLifeCon. People obviously will be able to get absolutely more information from you in your 30-minute micro masterclass. And so I just want to say thank you to you. And I'm so happy that I met you. You're a wonderful human. And it's been about 3 years. It was, I think, pre-COVID or during COVID that we met.
It was pre-COVID, and I stalked you because of Riley. So it's all because of the dog.
Yeah, and she's in the doghouse because she did a little something in the house this morning. So anyway, listen, thank you so much. And we're going to welcome another expert to the stage. Thank you so much. Wow. Great advice from Marjorie. I will follow up in the chat with what she said. Now I'm going to welcome you, Katie Stoddard, to the stage. Listen, I'm excited about having you at BizLifeCon as well. I think marketing, as we just mentioned, is all too critical to building a sustainable company. And all too often it goes unlooked, untouched, undervalued. So as business owners, let's talk a little bit about how do you determine your audience as a small business owner regarding your marketing strategy? I mean, especially if you have products and services with very broad reach potential.
Yes, that's a great question. And can you hear me okay?
What was that? Yes. Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, we're
okay,
on the other one. All right. Yes.
We at Ed to Market, we're an agency that we support companies who are selling products and services to schools, but they also sometimes sell products to parents. And sometimes people come to us and they really think everybody in the entire universe is their potential customer. And that can be the case. And for many like B2C products, it absolutely is. But we have to really narrow in on who's the ideal customer because they're going to help us reach more customers. And so we really want to find those like brand fans and those brand loyalists and really the folks who you created this product or service for. The other thing that we see, when people aren't segmenting their audiences or aren't kind of diving in and thinking how they can narrow their audience is they're speaking to everybody the same way. And the way that you might speak to a woman in her 40s or 50s versus, a 22-year-old is different. And the way that you're going to talk about your product and how it's going to solve their problems is different. And so it's so critical to really kind of narrow in your audience, focus on your best bets first, figure out how to find them, and then grow from there.
Yes, because especially if you do have, as you said, a product that can reach so many, but then also there's it's really important to figure out who is at least that primary audience so that you can at least get to that point where you're generating the revenue and the sales from that audience. And then if it's a product, then go to the next SKU and add that perhaps onto your marketing strategy. Is that what you're thinking? Is that
exactly? And And yes and no, sometimes you'll realize, like, you found your niche and this is the right audience, and it's too difficult or too expensive to reach different audiences, and so it makes sense to really double down in this one sector, or this one age range or demographic or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Other times you learn from it and you say, you learn from the customer feedback and say, "Oh, actually, there's another audience that makes a lot of sense over here. We just need to tweak our messaging for that persona." So it
Great
allows
point.
you to learn and allows you to kind of make those, best guesses and not, waste tons of marketing dollars just trying to reach everybody with a wide net
Yes.
and really focusing on kind of who are the ideal market for this product.
So another good question is, how do people improve their social media marketing? Because obviously with now TikTok being the thing, I mean, it replaced, it feels like it's replaced Snapchat and some of the other things.
Hmm.
So we've got, it's hard for me to call Twitter the X, but
X, yeah.
there's so much out there. YouTube, obviously
Yeah.
LinkedIn Business, Facebook groups, Facebook podcasts. Like, gosh,
Hmm. Yep. Instagram, Reels, Stories, all of
Instagram,
it.
Reels,
And so,
yes, it's never ending.
yeah, well, we see brands doing a really good job of putting content out there and creating, great videos, great stories, reels, all of it, and just good content. And really focus on, where your audience is, what channel are they using? If you're reaching, certain demographics that might not be on Twitter or X or whatever we want to call it, don't waste your time there. Really have that social media presence where it makes sense for your brand and ideally your audience. But like the biggest thing that we see is this great content, but then lack of engagement. And so social media is really that two-way street. And so not only engaging with folks who are engaging with your company, your brand, your posts, things like that, but also engaging within that market. And so again, like being that we're an education company, we see this with our brands need to be in, teacher Facebook groups or need to be connecting with education associations and really seeing that conversation that's happening with educators.
Yeah.
This would work for any demographic and any audience and product as well. So you think of the groups that make sense or the influencers that they're following and really be part of those conversations. And it shouldn't all be promotional and salesy, but really
Right.
seeing social from kind of both sides and not just throwing content out there and hoping people come into you, but putting content out there and then engaging in those different channels
But
as well.
engaging. Yeah, and kind of owning that platform or two, depending, right? So
Exactly.
great example for Second Act Women is that our women are on Facebook and Instagram,
Hmm.
and of course LinkedIn. So, but we're focusing our efforts right now. We've always focused our efforts mostly in growing our Facebook group page, not even our Facebook company page,
Hmm.
but our Facebook group page, which has proven to be very successful for us. And thanks to people like Marjorie and others, who are really engaging and helping us get those conversations going. And then our second is LinkedIn and LinkedIn Business. And then the plan
Hmm.
is in the next couple of months, kind of start bumping up our Instagram. So we have a strategy here. I have a strategy in place to do that. But a lot of times we don't. We just, again, we hit the ground running. We're like, we got to be here. We got to be here. We got to be here without taking a step back. And as Marjorie said, grabbing a hold of those goals that you set and figuring out and your primary and secondary customers, where are they? So a
Hmm.
question
Well,
is, what?
oh, I was going to use an example of I actually
Yeah.
found you guys through someone posting about the BizCon Live event in a Peloton moms group. And so that's exactly it. That's engagement. I don't even know who the post was. I'd have to go back and figure that out, but
Me
that's
too.
engagement that's authentic and organic and really finding people where they are. And it wasn't marketing related.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, and you made another point about that too a moment ago, that it's important not to be selling. And I don't know what the
Hmm.
ratio is today, but I try to only sell like 20% of the time on my posts
Hmm.
about BizLiveCon or membership or whatever it is, because I like building community. That's who I am, and that's who my company
Hmm.
is. It's a community builder. And then of course, obviously I'm also in it to generate
Yeah.
revenue. I mean, that's why I'm in business, like most of us. So what is that
Mhm.
ratio, would you say?
We tend to think of it in pillars, and so if you think about posting 3 times a week,
I'm
one
totally hot
time should
flashing.
be
Stand by. I gotta get my fan out. Okay, go
one
ahead.
time should be educational, resourceful, some great tip or, piece of information that someone can utilize to solve a problem.
Yeah.
Another time should be, and you can kind of decide what pillars work for your brand, but sometimes we see companies do things about their teams or about something very unrelated to the actual product and service they're selling. But look at what we did volunteering in the community, or here's a picture of our team at our holiday event, or whatever it is, just to
Yeah.
kind of feel that like personal connection. And then the third time could be a little bit more promotional. We stay away from like strong promotional, and it's more of like offering content that's related to
Yes.
whatever the offering is.
Yes.
Again, like when we work with publishers, for instance, we stay away from pushing out like purchase this book, and it's more like check out a free chapter from this book, or watch
Yes.
a podcast from the author, something along those lines. And
Yeah.
so
Or offer a
so yes,
downloadable.
yes, exactly. So I
Yeah.
think that the 20-25% is good, but even if you could get less and focus on the content with those, little kind of well-placed promotional pieces that don't feel too salesy.
I love that. And when it comes to marketing, a lot of times, and we were just talking about marketing driving revenue, sales, exposure, brands,
Mhm.
all of that. But a lot of times we make the mistake, I think, or companies do make the mistake of putting all this money into marketing. And then they don't see that it's driving sales. So there's got
Mhm.
to be an issue in that. It could be, share with us.
Yes, yes. So
Don't let
I
marketing
think there's a
go.
couple of things. I
Yeah.
know. And listening to Marjorie, I thought she had some really, really great points on this too, because I think the biggest thing is everything needs to be measured, right? But that measurement does not always need to be a sale. And especially it kind of depends on, what your product journey is. If it's a direct to consumer affordable item, that's a little bit different. If you're talking about like a multi-thousand-dollar investment, or something like a vehicle, that's a little bit more where you need to nurture somebody. And so it really comes into like, what's the goal of your campaign? And what are you going to get out of that? And a lot of the times it's more of collecting leads, or building awareness of the product, or driving engagement with the ideal customer base, or learning more about your customers
Like a
wants and
survey.
needs and things like that. Exactly. And so
Yeah.
I think, when we start with brands, especially startup or newer brands who want instant results when it comes to sales, we're really kind of building some foundational marketing pieces like messaging, like, websites that are going to keep people engaged and keep them on site and clicking between pages. And those are really good marketing wins that don't necessarily instantly lead to sales and lead to revenue.
Yeah.
But they're building, your marketing qualified leads, your sales qualified leads, and really your engaged, future customer base. And so that's what we really try to push clients to, is you absolutely have to measure everything, but
Yeah.
not everything has to be measured by a sales or a dollar sign at the end
By
of the day.
money. Right. Right. It's important to recognize that overall you're in business to generate revenue and sales, so that you
Mhm.
can stick around and continue to help as many people that you're trying to help with your company. But yeah, absolutely. So, okay, let's end with a tip. Your tip is about marketing campaigns. And I would love for you to explain the difference between a marketing campaign and a promotional campaign, if you can,
Sure.
if you have
So
time.
I'll say, to be honest, marketing campaign and promotional campaign kind of go hand in hand for me. I would say marketing is a little bit more building awareness and building engagement with that, prospect base or client base, where
Yeah.
promotional is really about kind of driving that actual conversion or sale. But really, I kind of use that terminology hand in hand. And I think the thing, and Marjorie really touched on a lot of this, having a marketing partner is going to help so much, because oftentimes we see small business owners really not even think about every channel that you can touch when it comes to marketing. You tend to think about social media or email, but there's so much more that can go into a multi-channel marketing approach. But at the end of the day, it really goes back to that idea of everything that you're doing from a marketing perspective should have a measurement to it. And so we see this, it's hard sometimes, because there's lots of things we want to do as marketers, like refine messaging, but sometimes it's hard to really identify what the goal of something like that is. Or another one tends to be, attend a trade show. Well, one of the, ideal goals of attending a trade show is talking to people who could be ideal customers. Even if you're just going as a guest of that trade show, you're not, purchasing a booth or exhibiting or speaking. It's really, making connections and having conversations. And those are measurable things, and so sometimes it's just kind of going back to your marketing plans, taking a look at everything that you've outlined that you want to do, and figure out what are the results that you want to come from this. And so sometimes it's really easy when you're sending an email campaign and thinking about opens and clicks and conversions, but sometimes it's a little bit more abstract when it's something like create a great piece of content, or be on a podcast or submit a blog article. What is it that you want to get from that? So that's what I encourage.
I was going to say a great example is Denver Startup Week is happening all this week. And the amount of connections and contacts that people are getting, and that I'm getting, and some of our members that are attending the sessions, the happy hours, the networking events, it's really quite spectacular. And that, that is, to me, that's also should be a part of your marketing. Is even those true touch points, literally touching the hands of others and shaking hands. And meeting people. And so I think that's really key. And especially now, obviously, it's 3 years later. So now that we're allowed to be back with each other. So I want to say thank you to you, Katie. And I really look forward to having you share more with our audience at Biz LiveCon, October 20th and 21st. I'm really happy that you found it, thanks to your Peloton group. And I'm excited to have you. And if you don't mind also just popping in 1 or 2 points that you just made into the private chat, I'd love to put that inside of the YouTube channel so that more people watch it and see what you have to say. Because obviously, I also like to promote you guys that are coming on and spending your time with me. So thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You got it. So that is the Morning Cup. I hope that you've learned more than a few things. We've gotten quite a few really solid tips on marketing and marketing your company and going next level in a sense. Those ladies will be again on stage, literally and figuratively, at Biz LiveCon. You can get tickets, and actually our partners at Weil are giving you a gift with every ticket, and it's a $39 gift. It's called Calm and Collected. It's one of their supplements. So join us at Biz LiveCon. You can get your tickets on sale at secondactwomen.com /Biz LiveCon. I do want to encourage you to join us next week at Cocktails and Conversations. And after that, we're going to be doing a watch party of The Golden Bachelor. But Cocktails and Conversations, we are welcoming Kelly Duncan. She's the president and CEO of Colorado First Foundation. They are the ones behind the big Colorado Gives Day, in which I think over 50 million was generated in the market in Colorado for nonprofits on that one day. So anyway, join us then. I want to say thank you for joining us, joining me on the second out of the chute. We finally brought this back, the Morning Cup. I hope you have a beautiful, beautiful day.